You're listening to Radio Woking on Christmas morning with John,
Shay,
Luke.
Yes, and we are here till midday because we've got our guests in the studio, Mark and Mary as well.
Hiya.
We're talking Christmas music, a big part of Christmas, and the anticipation of who was going to be Christmas number one. Now, we know this year Sam Ryder, who you remember from Eurovision, really kind of like pulled out all stops with busking sessions in shopping centres to try and get that Christmas number one. But it was an old favourite that finally made it to number one after 39 years. Wham! And Last Christmas, this year's Christmas number one. So to reflect on this, let's chat to Sue and Leigh. They're from Choose 80s. Morning, Merry Christmas, both of you.
Oh, Merry Christmas, John.
Morning, John. Merry Christmas to you.
And it's really good to have you both on. As soon as I heard Wham getting to number one, I thought, right, we need to talk about this. Who do we talk to? Well, you two, obviously, because the authority on all things 80s. So, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, when you heard the announcement, Wham! Last Christmas. Christmas number one, I mean, that it's taken 39 years, and a lot of people, I guess, sort of didn't really realise that it wasn't number one back in the 80s.
I was just so delighted for Andrew, Pepsi and Shirley, and I mean, George up in heaven will be smiling down that it's finally reached number one, because Christmas was such a magical time for George Michael. So to finally make it to Christmas number one is just incredible. It did make number one last year, but not for Christmas. And Christmas is the special time for George, wasn't it, Sue?
Oh, definitely, yes. The sad thing, obviously, was that we sadly lost him on Christmas Day, which was a huge shock, at the time. So for this to get to number one, I think it's a wonderful tribute to such a wonderful songwriter, a musician and performer, and also a wonderful person, because he was actually quite a philanthropist on the quiet. He helped a lot of people through acts of, individual kindness, and that wasn't always, he didn't used to share that at the time. So he really was, a wonderful person through and through. So to have this as number one, it really warms the heart for me. When I heard that, I thought, well done, George, a great accolade for the wonderful person he was and the wonderful music he made with Wham.
And he actually wrote, I believe, Last Christmas back in the 80s with the aim of getting that Christmas number one spot. That was kind of the motivation, I suppose, behind the song, was it?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and obviously it came up against Band-Aid, which was the biggest song ever to go up against, with every single artist in there that was big in the time, including George Michael. So at the time, even though he was disappointed that he didn't make Christmas number one, he was also happy that the charity record Band-Aid was the one song to pip him to the post.
And I think it epitomised George's determination as a songwriter. When he set his mind to something, he usually carried it out and completed it with, huge acclaim. And if that was one of his, things on his list to do, he did it fantastically. Starting from his small bedroom in Bushey, when he was a teenager, writing all those songs. And then to get as huge as he did, multi-million, records sold. He really was a sort of determined and talented person. So, so pleased for him that he's at number one.
And I believe the longest kind of journey in chart history to get to number one, 39 years, finally making it. That's been quite a journey, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, before it got to number one, it was the biggest selling single in UK chart history to not reach number one. So it's just it's
a
wonderful.
Tragedy, that.
I know. So it's wonderful that it's finally made it. And of course, hats off to Sam Ryder. Yeah. He's got a fantastic new song, and as you say, he really did pull out all the stops. Yeah. And it's a great song, but it seems the right time for Last Christmas to finally make it.
And I think and I think it was the right time for Lad Baby to say, after 5 years, we're not going to release another Christmas song, to, let something like this happen.
Yes, please.
I mean, it's good to have a Christmas song. It's not Lad Baby, it's not X Factor, it's not a reality star, it's a Christmas favourite. It is actually a song, because if you look back at, recent Christmas number ones, there's so many that have nothing to do with Christmas, really.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's lovely to have something that is really, really Christmassy. And of course, the Christmas video of Last Christmas, you can't beat that for Christmas spirit. And it's just wonderful. We interviewed Pepsi and Shirley about making Last Christmas and the video. It's on our YouTube channel if you want to have a look at that on Choose 80s. It was lovely to speak to them, and they said how much fun they had making the Last Christmas video, all friends together, and it was, as it looks, just a lovely time with friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
It shines through on the video, and I think it epitomised those 80s winters, you know, when we used to, obviously it wasn't shot in the UK, I think it was shot in Switzerland, but it really epitomised, we used to get huge snowfall, you know, back in the 80s, and we'd spend from dusk to dawn, you know, from dawn to dusk sort of in the snow, eventually coming home after sledging all day, throwing snowballs with like fingers that felt frostbitten, but it was such fun, you know, back in the day to enjoy those really heavy snowfalls and just so much fun on our sledges.
Yeah, and that really came across watching the video as well. And of course, some people have been trying to avoid Last Christmas because there's this thing, Whamageddon, a lot of people have been playing.
Oh, no.
I heard about that. That's terrible.
Yeah,
it is.
I think actually, though, I think that just shows how popular the song is. If you can get to Christmas Day without hearing it, because it's everywhere this time of year, shopping centres, and now, you know, in the last couple of days, it's been played. You know, clips of it turn up in the news. So if you're trying to avoid it, it's not really possible, I don't think.
No, I mean, it's up there with Slade, isn't it? You know, as one of the songs that's Mariah Carey.
Absolutely.
You can't avoid any of those three songs, I think, when you're shopping. So,
definitely. And the charts, I mean, and the way the charts have changed, you know, it's sort of based on, rather than just like physical record sales, download, streaming, it means that anything can enter the charts. So it makes it really interesting. It allows for things like this to happen, doesn't it? You know, songs after 39 years coming number one.
It does. I find it very difficult to understand how it works because you've got so many old songs now in the charts and people haven't physically bought it. So it's just so different to back in the day when it was a real treat to go and buy that Christmas single and have that physically in your hands and look at the cover and everything. I don't think anything can beat that.
No, it was sort of more transparent back then because you'd go into, you know, W.H. Smith's and you'd see that big top 40, you know, on the wall and you'd know which ones was, you know, which songs were in the charts. But now you sort of have to hunt around on the internet to find out which ones are trending, etc.
So, do you know what? We've got Luke in the studio, and Luke is we've worked out Luke's label is Gen Z.
Gen Z.
He's the sort of person that turns up at the studio. He's got his phone. He's all about the downloads. So he's looking a bit confused right now.
I know, you could tell us then.
It's like he's like, what? What
this is all new
about?
to me.
Yeah. So
it's a different language now, isn't it? My daughter's the same. It's all about streaming now,
it's all about.
She has to tell me.
It's all about the TikTok, which apparently is not what a clock does when it moves around. I'm learning a lot from Luke here. You know, he's getting me sort of, you know, in on the language and the youth culture.
The Gen Z language, the Gen Z culture.
Gen Z.
That's it. But you do get sort of acts. For example, one of Paul Weller's bass players, Andy Crofts, he's just released his own Christmas single. I only came across that actually on Facebook. So you do hear of these singles, but you have to find it, you know, on social media.
Yeah, there you go. It's a different world, but, you know, thankful that a traditional, brilliant Christmas song and a real tribute to George Michael, Wham, getting into top of charts after 39 years. Thank you to you both. How are you going to be spending your Christmas Day this year? What's happening in your households?
Oh, making traditional roast turkey. We've got a nice fillet of beef as well. There's 6 of us for Christmas dinner, so we're going to have crackers, lots of sherry, lots of wine and good times, John.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Brilliant. And I'm travelling to family Christmas Day and Boxing Day. cooking one day and having dinner cooked for me another. So just spending family time.
And sticking Christmas music on the background of all of this, obviously.
Oh, of course, at the forefront.
Oh, yes, definitely. It helps while you're making the Christmas dinner, definitely.
Yeah,
it does. Absolutely. I think sort of things like cooking, cleaning, chores, they're much better when you've got a bit of good music in the background, definitely. So Merry Christmas to you both. And,
Merry Christmas, John.
Merry Christmas, John.
Time.
Always good to talk to you. And how do we find you if you want to check out all the videos and see what you do at Choose 80s?
So we're on most...
Go on, sorry, Leigh.
We're on most social media, practically all social media. So if you go to YouTube, you can find all our interviews with 80s pop stars and clips of gigs. Just search for @Choose80s. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, or X as it's called now, TikTok, Instagram. And we have our own
WordPress
website
as well. We've got our own WordPress website as well.
There you go.
You can find us there.
Yeah. Do you know what that is, Luke? WordPress?
No. It's like news. It sounds like something should be news.
Well, there's lots of news on there anyway. Music news.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sue. Thank you, Leigh. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thanks, John. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.